Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my struggling parents? Original post. I really need an outsider's perspective, so let me know your thoughts. I met my husband when I had just turned 21. It was at my friend's sister's wedding. My friend invited me because her sister was getting married, and that's where I met him. He was super handsome, and we were seated at the same table, not knowing many people. My friend was a bridesmaid, so I was kind of bored. He started talking to me and joked that we were at the loser table since it was full of random people. He wasn't wrong. We ended up having a great time, laughing, drinking, and dancing. I really liked him. When I told him I was in university, he asked how old I was. I told him I just turned 21, and he instantly got turned off. He thought I was older and closer to his age. He was 37. I asked him to come back to my place, but he was super honest and told me I was way too young for him. He said he'd had fun hanging out with me but wished me the best. I spent 30 minutes trying to convince him to give me a chance. I was drunk, lol. He said he'd consider it if I was over 30, but also mentioned I'd had way too much to drink, so it just didn't feel right to him. Fast forward a year, I joined online dating and came across his profile. I messaged him, and this time I managed to convince him to go on a date. A year later, I introduced him to my parents, and my dad absolutely lost it. He kicked us both out and said I wasn't welcome home unless I broke up with him. Every time I tried reaching out to my parents, the first thing they'd ask was, "Are you still with him?" If I said yes, they'd hang up. Eventually, we eloped. My husband has been amazing. He supported me while I got my master's and landed a great job. That said, his job required a lot of traveling to remote areas. When I got pregnant and was really sick and alone, it was rough. I called my mom, left her a voicemail begging for help, and even offered to pay her, but she never responded. After I gave birth, it got worse. Colicky baby, no sleep, and I was an emotional wreck. I emailed both of my parents, begging for help again. No response. Thankfully, my husband got leave approved and hired help so I could recover. That's when I made peace with the fact that I no longer had a family. Now, my daughter is 7, and out of nowhere, my mom reached out about 5 months ago, saying she wanted to see her granddaughter. My husband was hesitant, but I thought it was a step forward. My mom started meeting my daughter at the playground, but she barely spoke to me or answered my questions. My daughter got really attached to her though, and it seemed like my mom genuinely cared about her. Then last week, my mom dropped a bomb. My dad is in big financial trouble, and the bills are piling up. She asked me to help them. I told her that my dad still doesn't acknowledge me, and she barely does either, so I wasn't sure. She said, "Think of it as a loan to me. He won't know it's from you. It's just a small favor to your family after all the embarrassments you've caused us." She kept going on about how what I did was wrong, how they were just trying to protect me from a creep, and how I basically walked right into his arms. I told her my husband is not a creep and that it was my choice. She brushed it off, saying the past can't be changed. Now I'm stuck. If I don't loan her the money, I'm afraid she'll cut contact with my daughter, and that would hurt her. But at the same time, they completely abandoned me when I was at my lowest. My husband thinks she's only using our daughter to manipulate us for money, and honestly, I'm starting to wonder if he's right. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my parents? Added, since people ask why my dad hates my husband, my dad is a retired cop and thinks he is always right, and refuses to admit he was wrong about my husband. My dad doesn't even really know him. I invited him over for dinner with my parents. My dad saw he was older and immediately asked about his age. He told him to get the heck out of his house within a few minutes and called him a pedo for going out with a child. When I told my dad I loved him, he told me to GTFO and not come back unless I left this old creep. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Wow, your parents really took tough love to a whole new level, huh? It's like they thought being emotionally bankrupt was better than being financially stable. My mom claims she never got any of my voicemails and can't remember my email. Do not accept that. Why did she never reach out? Your sperm and egg donor don't care about you and will never do so unless you adhere to their rules. Live your life the way you want to. If you continue to bring your child around them, you would be the a-hole and will most likely be back making another post about how messed up your family is. Maybe they will manipulate your child. I guarantee they will destroy your relationship with your husband if you give them the chance. She never ever reached out to me nor acknowledged any of the texts, voicemails, or emails I sent. I even sent my parents a handwritten letter before giving birth and told them I missed them. My mom didn't remember that either. Don't give them the money. She can't even ask you kindly without insulting you and your husband. She was frankly a total witch while asking for your help. Don't do it. Go one step further and tell your dad that your mom came begging to you. I guarantee you won't hear from her ever again. My husband suspects it's all my dad's plan. He needs money, but his ego can't take it, so he sent my mom to mooch off. Either way, it's dishonest and you're being asked to participate in the deception. Some secrets shouldn't be kept. It's setting you up to be the problem when it goes wrong. Now for the update. So I texted my mom, and this was our exchange. Me, Mom, have thought about your request to borrow money and I don't think it's a good idea. Money always complicates things, and we've just started talking again. This could hurt all of us. Mom, you haven't changed one bit. You're still the same fool who ruined her life for an old creep just to piss off her dad. After years under his thumb, your brain is completely rotten. You're an embarrassment. I feel sorry for your child to have a mother like you. This was your last freaking chance to make amends. Don't contact us again. You're a damn crazy woman. We're embarrassed by you. I guess I got my closure. Next story. Am I the a-hole for offering no sympathy to my husband when his dad crossed a boundary? I'm currently pregnant with my second child. I found out 3 days before Christmas and told my husband the following day. He was pleased as punch. Myself, excited but more than a little nervous. A big mixed bag of feelings. For this and other reasons, I asked my husband if we could keep the news between us for a while to let me process and adjust to this new reality before sharing it with our family and friends. His response, "I'm so excited. Can I just tell a work friend?" I repeated that I would prefer to keep it between us for now, at least to get through the holidays without all the focus on us. Fewer than 10 minutes later, he says, "Work friend is super happy for us," and I told other friend. She says congratulations. I let him know I was disappointed and thought his behavior was super disrespectful and crappy. But whatever, it was out of my hands now. He assured me he wasn't going to tell anyone else. Fast forward to the weeks following Christmas, during which he pestered and pressured me to tell his family members before I was ready. Again, we had his parents casually over for coffee one night, and he let it slip without my consent because he was just so excited. Repeat this process with a few other friends and family members. For whatever reason, he hasn't yet let it slip to his paternal grandparents. Because of this, his dad has been pressuring him to call them. Today, his dad gave him an ultimatum. He would say something before the end of the day if my husband didn't. Husband comes home in a super disagreeable mood and proceeds to vent to me about his dad's total lack of consideration and how angry he is over this ultimatum. I calmly listened to him, agreed it wasn't a nice thing to do, and noted it wasn't his dad's news to share. It was inconsiderate. But this is where I may be the a-hole. I love you, but does this maybe give you some context for how it felt when you did the same thing to me? He then gets even angrier and tells me that it's not the same situation at all, criticizes me for making it about myself, says I have a victim mindset, and insists he just needs support from me and not whatever this is. I then also blew up at him, defending myself, and we've hardly spoken for the rest of the night. I can't wrap my head around him wanting sympathy from me after repeatedly hurting me with almost the same behavior. But is it not the same situation? Is he right? Should I have put my own resentment aside to help him feel better? Did I selfishly make it about me? Maybe he would have made a connection without me pointing it out, or perhaps he would have been more receptive if I had just given him a hug and let him calm down for a while. I don't think so. I'm still livid. But please tell me what you think, outside observer. Not the a-hole. Your husband is a hypocrite. He did the exact same thing to you, and now he's shocked when his dad does it to him? He needs to learn to respect your boundaries, just like you had to learn to respect his. You're not being selfish. You're allowed to be upset. Interesting that his dad is treating him the same way he is treating her. Not the a-hole. He learned it from somewhere. Not the a-hole. You are correct. He is a man baby. You should be even more angry than the initial betrayal, because he clearly hates it being done to him, but is fine with doing the same thing to you. Reconsider marriage and pregnancy. This is the part that has my head spinning the most. He clearly feels it's inappropriate behavior, but not when he does it to me, and then thinks I will feel sorry for him. It's actually insane. It makes me worry about his mental health that he doesn't see how crazy his logic is, and mine. If I were my friend seeking advice, I would be having some words with me. Ugh. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my parents' mortgage after my sister moved in? For the past 8 years, I, 32 male, have been paying my parents' property taxes and mortgage. They're retired and have very little retirement savings because they put all their money into my sister's 29 female and my education. We both attended top universities and found successful jobs afterward. I felt like I owed my parents for all they sacrificed for me, so it was a no-brainer to help them retire without financial stress. My parents did not consult my sister about splitting these costs with me. Instead, the agreement was that I would get a larger share of the house. Fast forward to now, my sister unfortunately lost her job last year and as a result, doesn't have much savings. She moved in with my parents to save money while she looks for a job. I recently found out that my sister pitched the idea of staying permanently in my parents' house, and my parents agreed. I was furious about this because I had been paying for the house with the understanding that it would eventually be sold and I would receive a larger share. It is very likely my sister will never sell the house and instead raise her eventual family there. Because the original agreement with my parents changed, I stopped paying the mortgage, leaving it up to my sister to take care of it if she is taking over the house. My parents are furious with me, saying I'm too money obsessed and should continue helping the family while my sister is in a tough spot and still looking for a job. Instead, they're promising that my sister will eventually pay me out for my share of the house, plus whatever else I contributed over the past 8 years. I turned down that offer because there is no real guarantee this will happen, and I don't trust my sister to follow through financially. I may be the a-hole for taking such a cynical stance and leaving my family in financial stress, but I feel like I was already burned once through verbal agreements, and I don't want to get burned again. Edit. My sister is fully opposed to selling the house because of its sentimental value. I'm not on the deed because when you put someone else on a deed in California, the house is reassessed and it will double our current property tax. There are also some implications for my parents' social security payments if I do so. I wish I had gotten something in writing, but I felt like an a-hole asking for something like that from my family. It was naive of me to think that way. Now for the top comments. 8 years is a long time to be paying a mortgage with only a verbal agreement. Even if you are/were on great terms, always get things in writing. You could cut your losses here. It isn't likely you'll see your money back. If the house is big enough for your sister and her potential future family to live in, why didn't your parents sell and downsize if it was just the two of them? They may need to anyway if you cut them off. Not the a-hole. This is all around poor financial planning. Your parents should put the house into a trust. Even if you are morally right, if their house gets foreclosed on and you lose your investment while your parents are thrown onto the street, who exactly does that help? The only a-holes I see are your parents for being furious with you, instead of grateful for all the time you've helped. I agree with this. Family does help family, and family should be thankful to one another. Last story. Am I the a-hole for accidentally catching my brother's girlfriend in a lie? I, 19 female, have a brother, 24 male, that I'll call Liam. Earlier this year, he started dating a girl he met at his climbing class that I'll call Emma, 26 female. They've been together for 4 months, and this weekend he decided to introduce her to us. They arrived yesterday and are staying until tonight. She is a really nice person and we got along well. At one point, my dad asked her what she did for a living, and she said she was a lawyer. I was super interested because I'm currently studying law and have wanted to be a lawyer since I was maybe 10. So I was very excited to ask her questions about it. I asked about cases she had, how she studied to become a lawyer, what her days looked like, and many other things. I might have been a little overenthusiastic and annoying, but I didn't realize at the time, and was just excited to talk to someone about my dream job. At one point, she said something that seemed incoherent to me. The details might be long and boring, but basically she said something that isn't technically possible. I was curious and a bit confused, so I asked her how that was possible because I thought she's the professional, so she must know better than me. But as she tried to explain, she said more incoherent and impossible things. It was kind of like if someone was quoting things from Grey's Anatomy to doctors, if you see what I mean. I asked more questions to understand, and that's when she admitted that she wasn't actually a lawyer and worked at a bookstore. She told us she was very sorry for lying and then left the table, and my brother followed her. My parents kind of scolded me for being intrusive, and when my brother came back, he was a bit angry. He started telling me that I was wrong for interrogating her, that I made her uncomfortable, and that she had lied because she was embarrassed about her job. He said I just made her more embarrassed. Now he hasn't been talking to me since, and neither has Emma. I'm not sure I'm in the wrong here, but they all seem to think so. I get that me asking questions might have been annoying or a bit too much, but I truly didn't have bad intentions. I was just excited to talk about it with someone. Also, I don't understand how everyone is so okay with the fact that she lied to my brother for 4 months and then also lied to us. I get being embarrassed, but I don't know. It's still a bit weird to me. I genuinely liked her and never meant to make her uncomfortable. I don't see how I'm in the wrong, but maybe I just can't see it. So please tell me so I can have another perspective. Edit. For everyone wondering if I'm on the spectrum or neurodivergent in any way, I haven't been diagnosed with anything, but many doctors and teachers of mine have mentioned it to me. I can understand why, but I don't want to self-diagnose obviously. I haven't been able to get tested because my parents don't believe in that stuff. But as soon as I'm fully independent, financially and living on my own, I will get tested. Not the a-hole. She's a weirdo for lying about being a lawyer, and your family is being weird for acting like you did anything wrong when you assumed she was the knowledgeable one, and were just trying to grasp what she was saying. It's not like you were trying to catch her in a lie. She couldn't keep up with it and had to out herself to end a conversation. Info. Did your brother know she would be lying about her job and saying she's a lawyer? If he did, that's really weird, considering I'd assume he knows you're studying in that field, so you'd be curious. Plus, if she knew you were studying law, pretending to be a lawyer to seem cool to you is weird as well. No, my brother didn't know she was lying, because she had also told him she was a lawyer when they met, and he also just found out it was a lie. I'm guessing she lied to him when they first met, didn't expect it to take such proportions, and was kind of stuck in her lie. I can have sympathy for that, but it's still really weird. He's probably doubling down and trying to make you the bad guy, so he doesn't have to feel his own embarrassment at being fooled for months.